Welcome to TM87. It's always gonna be swagger to us.
Yeah, don't let anyone taunt you about that one.
I see what you guys did there. That's,
That was
that's
good.
nice.
That was
That's
good. That
nice.
was good. Anyways, I bet you guys are wondering who we are and what we're doing here. So this is gonna be a podcast just about all VGC content related. We're gonna be doing anything else, whatever we want to talk about. Current events, whatever in-game stuff is going on, whatever we want to talk about. This is our podcast. I'm sure you guys are wondering who I am. My name is Rayad. I'm joined by my co-hosts Anthony and Sheldon. I'm gonna let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, my name's Anthony. Also formerly known as Chili Bowl 257. Holla at your boy. I used to play Pokemon really competitively back in the day, up until like 2016. But then I kind of got washed up. The two regional top cuts are in the past, and now we're just going 5-3 drop at tournaments. But hopefully, we're gonna try to improve. I've been practicing a lot here with the boys, Rayad and Sheldon, and my boy Irving, and anyone else who's trying to run some best of threes. Slide in my DMs if you're looking to do
Fine as
something like
game.
that. You know. And yeah, Sheldon, what about you?
Hey everyone.
One doubles.
Oh, sorry to cut you out there. Hey everyone. Sheldon here. Also, I go by One Doubles on Twitch, Twitter. You'll see me around shortly. I've been playing VGC since around 2013, thanks to these two. I was a super casual before I met these guys, and they showed me the ropes. Other than that, I've attended a couple of regionals, not nearly enough as I would have liked to, and I top cut the fourth Nugget Bridge Major. Yeah, not the greatest of achievements, but I'm into the scene for sure.
The fourth Nugget Bridge Major? That's what it
The
was?
fourth one, I double checked my my article on Nugget Bridge. Yeah, that's
Man's
I'm published.
Man's went to the archives.
I'm published.
What?
Man's went to the archives to bring up the old war story.
Yeah, I'll make sure we link that in
All
the
the
video.
veterans are gonna know about that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright, well, my name is Rayad. I've been playing Pokemon since 2005. I've been playing competitively since probably '08, right? Back then it was called VGS. Not many people know that. Video Game Showdown, right? It was me and Anthony back then, with a lot of other OGs, and it's great to see where the scene is now compared to the inception when we were playing, but that was way back in there. I made Worlds in '08, haven't been back since. But look, it's a new year. We're trying to get back. We haven't really focused on the game, I think, like probably in a while. Like we've always been like in and out every year. 2014, 2015. We've played mostly every year since then. I think during the pandemic we kind of took a break. No one really played during those years, but besides that, we've been in and out of the game. Maybe one or two tournaments every season. But it's been fun. It's been fun. We've been playing since the beginning, so it's great to see where the game is from its inception back in '08 to now, right? We hope this podcast can provide a space for discourse and just a way for it to contribute and grow the scene. That's kind of our goal here, so let's hope it does that.
Hey,
Yeah, for sure.
hey, Rayad. Speaking about the VGS, who are some of the I guess individuals from back then that you still see around today? Can you name any?
I mean, the only one we really see is Mr. Aaron Cybertron Zing. That guy was an OG back in '08. He did play in '08. I didn't really meet him until 2010, but that was one of the names recognized from. I think Ray Rizzo also played in '08, right, Ann?
It was either '08 or '09. I'm pretty sure it's '09, because I don't remember seeing him back in the day.
And that guy's the second best player ever, right?
Oh, second best. Hot takes on episode 1 of the podcast.
that a hot take?
Oh, we're dropping the goat. We're
Oh.
dropping goats like that already.
We're dropping the GOAT debate right
That's
now.
too early.
No.
It's too early.
We'll save that for episode 2. If you guys are interested, make sure you tune in next week
Hey, look, I know who
for
my
the
GOAT
GOAT debate.
I know who my GOAT is.
Yeah, he's been saying bronze the GOAT in basketball. Come on now.
Oh
He's
no!
invalidated.
Bron's playing right now. Are we dead ass going there right now?
I think you're the only person following that while doing a podcast. Speaking of the
I gotta keep tabs on
podcast,
the GOAT.
just want to let it be known. This is gonna be a space that we express our our raw opinions, a little bit unfiltered here and there, and we just want to have fun with you guys and about the game that we all enjoy, creating content, and just spreading the goodness of competitive VGC.
Yes, sir. No Kizzy here on the podcast.
Yeah,
Okay.
there'll be no cap, and that's a lot of cap right there. That's a lot of cap. Moving on, I think we should.
No, we're not capping.
Oh, we're not capping. Okay, but we are moving on
We're
though
not capping.
to I guess the
Okay.
current events that that we are seeing in the world of Pokemon. So, Ant, you want to take that away?
Yeah, it looks like we're gonna be getting an update to Scarlet and Violet. These games have been a little buggy and a little bit of a mess. I mean, competing in the tournament last week, we experienced some of those bugs and issues.
Oh,
I
don't
mean,
get me started, bro.
we'll go into that a little
rough.
later in the podcast.
That was
But
rough.
hopefully, in update 1.2, it'll resolve some of those issues. This won't be like the DLC or anything like that, but it says that it will come with some new additions to the game. So, we'll see when it does roll out. And then today they also launched the Pokemon 1008 video. Did you guys get a chance to view that?
I did not. Me personally, I did not.
It was like a quick little 8-minute video that celebrated the new generation and the fact that we have over 1,000 Pokemon. It was cool shit. Check it out if you get a chance.
That now that you mentioned that, I think I did see something about Golden Gold being the 1,000th Pokemon. Is that true?
Well, I saw that.
I think I saw that on Twitter.
Yep,
That-
perhaps
cool.
the best Pokemon from Gen 9. Don't at me. Another hot
That's
take.
a hot
but
take.
I
That's a
think
hot
it might
take.
be-
I don't think that's that hot. I don't think
Okay.
that's hot. Based on the user stats, that might not be that hot.
Yeah, it might just be.
It
fact.
might be
It might.
fact.
And if anyone wants to disagree, we could swing on it.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
talking strictly
It
best.
was on both of the finals teams from San Diego. So
It was 3 out of the 4 in top 4 too.
yeah, it was everywhere.
To be
Goldengo-
clear.
Or, I'm sorry. We might be pronouncing it wrong. Apparently, the official pronunciation is
Golden Gold.
Yo, I said that. I said that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Golden Gold.
rewind it back and make sure you guys hear. I said Golden Gold from the
One
start.
Dubs-
Just let it be known.
Mr. Dubs did say that. So let's let's call him by the correct pronunciation because we don't know who's gonna get mad right now.
See what else we have in current events. The last set of episodes featuring Ash Ketchum, they're gonna start rolling out starting this Friday. It's a somber time, a little bittersweet. Ash finally got his world champion dub. He got the world champ difference, just like Wolf Glick right now. But
The goat.
only 12 more episodes. So that starts this Friday. And then speaking of the world champ difference, Wolf Glick's newest YouTube video, the production value on that shit was crazy. Did y'all get a chance to watch
I actually
that?
didn't watch it. I know I saw his tweet about it. I know it's apparently one of the best videos he's put out, but I haven't gotten a chance to watch it.
Bro, this guy really got no love
Yeah,
for the
honestly,
scene
bro.
right now,
Honestly, bro.
No, I've just no. So look, I had a stomach bug last week going into the regionals. I was really trying to recover. It's been 3 days since we got back, bro. I'm trying to get back into the swing of things.
Mhm.
Trying to take a break from Pokemon a little bit, but look, that doesn't mean we're not playing Series 2.
That does not mean we're not playing Series 2.
That's true. I mean,
Just dropped 2 days ago. Pokemon Showdown. They're on their shit.
they're on their
updating
shit.
the ladders. We
Yo,
have
that OTS, bro, the OTS option on ladder. Yo,
OTS
I'm
on
just
ladder is
saying now,
amazing.
if you're not accepting OTS, what are you doing?
Bro, if you're not
You're
upset,
bot.
if you're
You're
not
bot.
accepting
You're bot.
OTS, get out of my lobby, bro. I'm just.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying. You're
like,
throwing.
we're- I understand if you're no. I understand the other side of the argument. If you're playing rank battles, if you're just playing Pokemon Showdown just to play and get experience and do your thing, that's fine. Because in rank battles, obviously, there's no open team sheets.
Right.
But you have to understand that primarily we use especially on the VGC servers, we're using Pokemon Showdown to get better at the game and to because we're playing at a regional level, it's always open team sheets. So that's the format we're trying to practice. So we're not saying you have to do open team sheets if you're playing the ladder, but it would just be better and I guarantee you will be better as a player if you play open team sheets.
Right, no, for
Because-
sure. I definitely think you learn a lot more when you're playing open team sheet. It lets you get a feel of what other people are using. On top of that, you practice the format that you will be playing in the tournaments. Just having that experience is so helpful for you as a player.
Right.
For whatever reason, if you want to go to a regional, that's the format you'll be playing. So that's the format you should be practicing.
Right. At the end,
For
and
sure.
at the end of the day, I mean, don't worry about what we say, man. Just play whatever you have fun playing. At the end of the day, it's not gonna
That's also true.
it's not gonna
That's
change
true.
the it's
Yeah,
not gonna
but-
change the fact that you're still gonna catch this L from me. So
That's what
damn.
I'm gonna still call you a clown though.
Damn,
If you're
damn,
trying to
damn.
hide your weak armor rouge on ladder at 1300, bro, what are you doing? Come on.
Oh no.
Still
If you're
gotta
only at
practice it.
1300, it's because you're probably not playing open team sheets.
Exactly.
Should get better.
Get that time in the lab.
You should get better.
I like it. Speaking of open team sheets, let's move on to talking about the San Diego regional. You guys actually attended. I am very jealous, and I'm glad you guys were able to go out there and get the ball rolling for the new season. So yeah, how was that, guys?
You can take this in. I didn't really have a good experience.
I
You
mean,
can start with that.
yeah, no, I mean, I thought.
Okay, look. Let me start. So leading up to the event, all right, I'm not making excuses, but I'm making excuses. I had a stomach bug from Thursday, leading up to Saturday. I missed 2 flights going to San Diego. I missed the Thursday night flight I was supposed to go on with Ant, and I missed the Friday morning flight. I was puking my brains out. I was shitting myself. It was a whole thing. I couldn't eat anything. Whatever. I blame my father. Anyways, so I couldn't go to San Diego those 2 days. I ended up going. I was like, okay, there's a 9 p.m. flight to San Diego. This is my last chance to go. So I was like, all right, I gotta muster up the energy, hop on this flight, and go. So it's 9 p.m. I get on the flight. I get to San Diego. I reach to San Diego like 12 a.m. I go straight to sleep. I wake up in the morning. What time do we wake up, Ant? Like 6:30?
Yeah, we got up around like 6:30, 7 o'clock that morning.
Yeah, we wake up and I still don't have anything in my system. I have no energy. I didn't eat shit. But look, the show must go on. So we get to the tournament. And I started off pretty well. I started off 2-0. And then I took my first L. I played round 3 versus Mr. Jusuk Lee himself. Like that was I pulled up team preview and I was like, wow, this is gonna be rough. This is gonna be a rough matchup right here. And then we played out the match. We played the match, and like by the end of game 2, he wins game 1. He wins game 2. By the end of game 2, I was like, there's nothing I could have done right there. I could have played the most optimal game, and I would have still lost. Like, first of all, Mimikyu is the correct call for this format. I don't know why more people weren't running Mimikyu, but Mimikyu beats all 4 mons on Suika's core. So Suika's core was the Murkrow, Goldengo, Hydreigon, and Garchomp, right? Mimikyu literally beats all 4 of those mons. So I don't know why Mimikyu wasn't more common, but anyways, he had that. He had a bunch of other mons that just made it very difficult to get rid of the Mimikyu. He had Wide Guard, which you couldn't use spread moves to get rid of Disguise. He had a lot of things to synergize very well across the team. So he bodies me, whatever. That was fine. I kind of knew I was gonna lose that matchup. It was just very, very difficult. And then I win my round 4 matchup. So I'm 3-1 going into lunch. We had tacos for lunch. I don't know if that was the play or not. But we did.
Those tacos were busting, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. I had them twice.
Shout out to the taco
on the
place.
trip. That's what I'm saying. City Tacos in San Diego, right by the Marriott Hotel.
Hey, shout out.
If you're ever in the San Diego gas lamp area, definitely hit them up. Don't listen to this guy. Like, they're great tacos.
I didn't say the tacos were bad. I just didn't say that they were the play or not. I just didn't know.
Yeah, I don't think he was taking shots at the tacos. I think it was just a personal thing.
That was right. That was a personal thing. That was probably like top 5 tacos I've ever had. But yeah, so I mean, I had the tacos during lunch. It didn't sit well in my stomach. I kind of had to blow the bathroom up during lunch, but it's fine. So I had the tacos. I go back to the venue. We all go back to the venue. We're trying to focus up. We're trying to lock back in. It's tough after lunch. So lunch is always rough at VGC tournaments because it's hard to lock back in, especially if you had like a really good start. Like it's hard to go back and just refocus and have the same. We're all pretty tired too, so we have to try to get as much caffeine as we could in our system to refocus back up. But I lose my first match going back into the tournament because, I mean, it sounds like I'm making a lot of excuses right now, but this is just what the experience was. But I made a brain dead play. I didn't terrestrialize my Pokemon when I should have because I kind of went back to review the turn and make sure I was making the right selections. And then I terrestrialized the first time, but then not the second time going back into it. So I lose game 1 and I'm tilted right now. The only thing going through my mind going into game 2 was, come on, don't tilt. Well, focus up, try to regain, win this game 2, win this game 3. I get body game 2 as well because it was a hard matchup to begin with. Get body game 2. I'm now 3-2, so I can still cut. We can still cut. You're 3-2. You have to win. You have to win 8 rounds before you lose 3. That's how you make top cut for San Diego. So
yeah, pretty much anyone with an 8-2 record was guaranteed cut. 9-1 you were in cut. 10-0 you were in cut, and then even a couple 7-3s snuck in. I think 2 or 3 of them managed.
It was a very small number.
The cut. Yeah, so you wanted to go A2 just to secure your place in the top cut so you could play in day 2.
Right. Yeah. So I can't remember who my next round opponent was after that, but I did lose it. And then at that point I was 3-3. I kind of, I think I speak for everyone here, including Anthony, when I say like, if you're not playing for the highest stakes, if you're not playing for a top cut, if you're not playing to win the tournament, you kind of lose focus a little because we're not playing for CP. Obviously, CP is important to get to Worlds, but we're not playing for that. We're playing just for top cut. We're playing for the highest glory of the tournament. So I lose my next match. I'm now 3-3, and I was kind of like, should I drop right now? I kind of want to drop because first of all, 10 rounds of Swiss is a very grueling tournament. That is rough. It's rough right there. So if you're gonna play 10 rounds just for CP, like props to you. I give you all like you gotta have love for the game for that. Like that's rough right there.
I'm getting a lot of no love for the game from Ray at this episode.
It requires. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is.
I mean, given his circumstances, dude was shitting his brains
No,
out.
you're right. I'm sorry.
I was shitting myself. My stomach was bloated. I was so hungry. Like there was a lot going on right now. So I'm like, so I'm not gonna drop because obviously Anthony's still in the tournament. I have my good friends Kazi and Brian who we roomed with. They were also in the tournament.
Shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to those guys. They're super fun.
Guys.
Great time over the weekend with them. Even leading up to the tournament the day before, we went to the zoo, and just we were just chilling around San Diego. Went to the beach and stuff. It was just a great time. So shout out to Brian and Kazi, for always bringing the vibes whenever we hang out with them at these tournaments.
Oh, those are always a good time.
Love those
Yes,
guys.
sir.
Those guys are awesome.
What about you, Ant?
But yeah, that was it. So at that point, you couldn't cut anymore. The chances of CP were low. I wasn't feeling very confident in my play up until that point. So it was kind of like, all right, this is the point where I kind of chalk it. I kind of I dropped after this point, and then we just kept it moving. I was just really hoping, Anthony and the other two were kind of doing well. Maybe they can get some CP. Maybe they can cut even, like whoever was still in the running. But it was rough after lunch. That's all I'll say. It was pretty rough. So I'll let Anthony go ahead and explain his run.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, it was rough from the start. Like, I was like, for the days leading into the tournament, like I wasn't going through it like Rad was, shitting my brains out, every day. But I did get some lack of sleep because I was waking up early. I had to wake up early, to work from home on Friday before the tournament, and then we went out. It wasn't as bad as Rad's situation though, so props to him for even playing. I know a lot of people that might have just skipped the tournament or like dropped earlier if they were in his circumstances. So, it definitely takes a lot to keep playing despite all of that. But yeah, I locked in my team Friday afternoon. I was using a Suika variant as well, some hyper offense. So I used Murkrow, Garchomp, Hydreigon, Mousehold, King Gambit, and Armarouge. It was slightly different than Rad's team, but it was a good team overall, I think. But yeah, I locked in my team Friday afternoon, went to the zoo, didn't think anything of it. And then Saturday morning, we get our team sheets, and then we get our pairings. Round 1, I'm playing Hayden McTavish, which was a tough name to draw, round 1, a former world champion. But, I was excited to play her. I knew that, if I could get through this first round, I'd be in good standings to do well for the rest of the day. So we're playing game 1, and the game looks like it's in a position where it was in my favor, and I clicked follow me on my Mousehold, and I see her raise her hand and call a judge over, and lo and behold, it looks like I had a team error on my sheet, and my Mousehold didn't say it had follow me and encore. Instead, it had freeze dry and endure. So I had to lose 2 of my moves on my Mousehold due to me kind of scuffing my team sheet.
Sorry to interrupt you. Let's unpack that. Let's unpack that there.
That's a lot to unpack there.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down. Well, how does Mousehold learn? Would you say endure and freeze dry?
Yeah, it does it. Those are the 2 moves that are right under both of the selections I wanted to do. Follow me and encore. But I submitted the team sheet on a mobile device, and I guess when I locked it in, I didn't realize I scrolled down. And I wasn't careful, I guess, when I looked over my team sheet the night before, and even when I got the team sheet. So, warning to you all. Yeah, no, that 100% on me. I don't even blame Hayden for calling the judge over. She did what she had to do. Definitely gotta do your thing. But I wish that the Arcanine's team building system didn't allow you to even select moves that the Pokemon can't learn. If that was the case, I would have been straight. But going forward, I know now definitely to check it 3-4 times. Have Rayad or Sheldon take a quick gander at my registration to make sure I'm good to go, because I don't want to be in that position again. But yeah, so
hold up. One comment there. My guy Ray had shot his brains out, bro. But you may have just forgot yours, bro. How do you not double check?
Yeah, no, definitely.
No. On the topic of that, I feel like that's a good point. I feel like you should have the same system as Pokemon Showdown, where it doesn't let you select a move that your mon doesn't have.
Yeah. Agreed.
Right. I mean, the thing is too,
that doesn't make any sense, and there should just be some leeway there as well, because like you should be able to call a judge over, and they should see freeze dry. And it's like, okay, he obviously cannot learn.
I can understand the rule. I mean, I understand the rules being the way they are, though. So I think the ruling is fine. I think it was more on Anthony at that point to actually double.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's on him.
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, it's on me. I don't.
I think the ruling. I think the ruling is definitely. I don't think there is room for leeway there, but there could have been a better system. I mean, Showdown has the
exactly
export button, and that thing works perfectly right now. I mean,
right. Like I think Arcanine Labs, like their team builder. No, we did on Arcanine Labs, their team builder, and it just has every single move on there. At least when you're on mobile too, you're scrolling on the scroller. Whereas I think on like a PC or a laptop, like if you're using your Mac, you could just type in the move, which is I think more ideal. So I think going into Orlando, I'm definitely gonna be doing that. But yeah, instead of winning game 1 against Hayden, I ended up losing to her because of that. And then I was super tilted at that point. I lose my round 1 match. I end up losing my round 2 match, and then at that point I'm like, shit, like I'm defeated. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna make a run, I'm gonna have to do it now. And I end up winning the next 2 going into lunch. We had our lunch break, so I'm 2-2, while the rest of the fellas are all 3-1 going into lunch. So props to them, all finishing really strong prior to the lunch break. And then we had our lunch break, had some great tacos. Shrimp tacos were bussin'. On God.
The chicken tacos were fire.
And then we come back from a lunch break. I win another 2 more, and then I play a matchup where Follow Me would have been really clutch, and I didn't have access to that though, so I lose it. Unfortunately, like it is a lot harder to play when you go through all of your practice and you expect to have certain situations in which you can win the games, and you don't. So I was at 4-3 at that point. I played my next round. I'm at 5-3, and then at that point, like after the 8th round, I checked in with everyone, and they were all X4 or worse, and they were ready to drop. And at that point, I knew my resistance was pretty bad, because everyone I was beating at that point, I was kind of knocking out their chances of getting into top cut. So a lot of my opponents had dropped at that point, or were looking to drop. So at that point, I made the decision, like, let me take this time to drop out. Yes, I could have probably got CP if I played the last 2 rounds and went X4 or X3. But, like Ray had said, I'm not playing for CP. At this point, I played enough Pokemon. And while, getting invite to Japan Worlds would be amazing, I'm playing for the glory first. I really want to get a medal and get back in top cut. Those are my 2 main goals for the season. And, once I was at X3, especially with bad resistance, and, I would have to play out my mind, just to even muster up the record to give me a chance. Since I was down pretty much half a mon with my mouse hold, it didn't make sense to me. I'd rather just go out with the boys, have a good time, hit the town, and enjoy San Diego some more before we have to leave. So yeah, that's what we ended up doing, and yeah, we had a great time Saturday night.
I mean, the thing is too, like for you to get CP in that situation, like you have to play all 10 rounds, right? You can't drop prior to that.
Exactly. So I'd have to play the next 2 rounds. It was already 7:30 at that point. And we were kind of expecting the tournament to go to like 10 o'clock.
Right.
And, was I didn't know if it would have been worth it to play such a grueling tournament, especially with a mon down. So it's like all of your practice is kind of like thrown behind you just because, you're in a completely different situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super rough, to play like that. But, I managed to do okay. 5-3. It's not bad, but I didn't finish the tour, so who knows if I would have got CP or
Right.
not. But that's neither here nor there. Still had a
I
good time
mean,
in San Diego.
obviously you were playing well despite your bad start, so you definitely could have gotten CP. There was,
Ah,
it's whatever. Like, you can't really
Yeah.
dwell on that too much.
Exactly.
But let's just talk about how grueling those 10 rounds actually were. Like, can we, like, by round 5? So even going into lunch, I felt fine. Like, I felt fine after lunch. But it's like, once you take that first loss, or even that second loss, and you really have to like refocus back up because now you're in a situation. If you take 2 losses, now you're in a situation where you cannot lose. Like, you have to literally win out in order for you to cut. Obviously, there are some X3s that are gonna cut. It probably won't be you though, because it's gonna be like someone that lost.
No, yeah.
very
Once you're at the
late.
X2 point, you're on your tournament life. So it's like
Right.
it's all or nothing at that point. You gotta be going for plays that you might not necessarily go for, or you have to play super optimally, because if you lose, you're probably not getting CP, or you might get CP, but you're definitely not cutting. And for us, we're not here to just get skate by and just get 40 CP at every event just to get a Worlds invite. If I'm going to Worlds, I want a big finish leading into it, so I can have some momentum going in.
I mean, look, if we're looking at 2012 and it's best of 1 Swiss, and like, that's fine, right? That's not grueling. Like, it's a one game. But you're looking at best of 3. Every round is requiring so much of just mental fortitude, because no one's bad at these events.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
At these regionals now, everyone is at least you have to make reads. You have to have a game plan. You have to make sure you're going into every game like very secure in what your game plan is, what you have to do. And if you don't have that, someone is going to take advantage of you. You're going to lose a matchup you shouldn't be losing. You have to know most of your matchups, at least take that part of team preview out. Like, if you see an Indie Armor Rouge, you have to know exactly what your matchup is going into that. You don't want to take time thinking in team preview. That's time you should be thinking about something else, right? Because if you take time thinking about your matchup at the regional itself, that's just going to be taxing. If you're going to have to think about your matchups every single round, that's going to be taxing. That should be something that's automatic, right? You're just going to get into your matchups, know what it is, win your games, how you're supposed to win them, and then move on, right? It's only those matches where it's kind of like someone is throwing you like whatever just brought, right? Like, where they're bringing you something that like, it's very hard to kind of game plan for. They have any number of combinations they can run. That's kind of where you have to save your mental fortitude for, because if you use that up in the early rounds, it's going to be rough later on. Don't even get me started on top cut. Once you get to top cut, that's when you're going to have to think.
Top cut's a different game. Luckily, it's on Sunday. You have some time to rest up,
right?
And, like,
you do have
mentally prepare. But you were saying like it's good to have the experience and know your matchups going into a tournament, but that just makes Angel's run this weekend even more crazy. Angel didn't play a single game of Scarlet Violet, prior to this weekend, and he plays his first games on cart for round 1 of the tournament, and he ends up top cutting. I think he went E2 to get into cut.
Yep.
And then he makes it a great run all the way down to top 16, which is amazing. And Angel, he hasn't played VGC in 3 years, I believe. He's been mainly focusing on the TCG, so it's great to see the old heads, and in general the old heads.
He was playing TCG before this?
Wait, yeah, he was playing TCG, I think, since
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he's been playing
2019 or
TCG
18?
for a while, I'd say.
Yeah, he made the switch around the time we stopped playing at regionals. And he's been playing primarily TCG, but this was one of his first events back, and he did amazing, and props to them,
Yeah.
I love seeing Angel do well, and I also love seeing all the old heads that came back.
Speaking of old heads, I saw Chuppa. He was out there. Lorcy. There's a couple.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolf was there.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
there's a
there's
lot
a
of great
lot of,
names. James Evans, Judy.
there are
The
tons.
list goes on. I mean, the regional was stacked. I mean,
It was a stacked regional for sure. I think this is one of the most stacked events I've been to, in general in my history of playing VGC. I mean,
M Forbes.
there's so
10
many
and
heads
0?
from the East Coast. Yeah,
Yo,
Emilio different.
Swiss, I don't.
That's
was
different. That is different. Best of threes going 10 and 0 is very hard to do.
For sure. I mean, and that's coming off of the last time he played in a regional was Secaucus, where he went undefeated to win that tournament. So
I don't even know the probability on
man
that. Do you
is
know how
still
much
different,
hacks?
you know?
Do you know how much
Emilio
like
is-
like permutations and situations you have to account for it to go
Emilio is definitely built
undefeated?
different.
Dondozo, baby. Dondozo is that was him. He was him.
He was him up until the finals, where Jusuk, managed to edge it out. I mean, he played that matchup beautifully.
I mean,
think.
the finals were very. So we could talk about that right now, actually, because Jusuk actually lost to, I believe, 2 Dondozos in cut.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in Swiss. In
In
Swiss,
Swiss, he
round
lost to both Chupa
7 and 8.
and Emilio.
Emilio, right? So he lost
Leading up
those
to-
2 matchups in cut, and then he ends up having to play Chupa in the finals.
Mhm.
Right? So he had to figure out a game plan. I'm sure overnight, between Saturday and Sunday, he kind of figured out what his best chances against Dondozo and the matchup, because he didn't have anything like Haze, he didn't have Clear Smog, he didn't have the typical Dondozo counters. So I'm sure they kind of figured out Intimidate Cycling was his best chance at beating it, and it got pretty scary in the finals. I believe he won game 1, right?
Yeah, he took game 1, and then game 2, Chupa managed to
He
play
adjusted.
pretty well and readjust and take game
Right.
2.
Yeah.
And then
And
game
then-
3 actually, we were talking about it during the match. Like it was dicey. I think it could have went.
I think yeah, it
either
could
way
definitely went
in
either
the
way.
first
No,
turn.
Chupa
or
played
2?
very well. Chupa played
Yeah.
very well.
For sure. I think if 1 or 2 turns go slightly different, Chupa
Right.
would have been getting his first regional win. And it's hard to see. The guy has managed to make it to the finals numerous times, and he hasn't eked it out yet in Masters. But I'm sure he's the one person I'm gonna be on the lookout for.
So the last time we went to
season.
regionals was Dallas 2018. It was
Mm-hmm.
the January regionals, and at that regionals, Chupa made it to the finals as well. I believe he lost to
He lost
What
to
did he-
Talon in the finals, Cedric
Mm,
Bernier,
right,
which
right,
who
right,
also
right.
made top cut at this event. There were so many players that have been around for a long time that
Right.
came to this event and did really well.
honestly,
it's
props to you
great.
guys. That's insane consistency.
For sure. That's
Yeah,
somewhere we're trying to get
I
to.
gotta-
So
I gotta tip that. I gotta.
if you
tip
guys are gonna try and take us under your wing, show us the ways. We'll be glad to play some best of threes
Obliged.
and grind with y'all. But yeah, I mean, one thing I felt about this format was it kind of promotes the play that we grew up playing with. In terms of VGC, I think
Hyper
Gen 7 and Gen 8 was very hyper offensive, whereas this generation, it promotes safer play, and you don't have to worry about getting nuked every turn by a Gmax Wildfire or a Z move coming your way from a Kartana or Tapu Koko. It's a little more slower paced in the sense that you could do a defensive Terra to protect your mons, or you could do some pivoting to have some longevity on the field. And I think a lot of the teams that did well and made it to top cut took advantage of that kind of play style.
Right. Speaking of Terras, even the diciness of the finals, I think the Terra mechanic is actually pretty crazy in terms of how it changes the game of Pokemon, and it makes weird inherent 50-50s in a way, because the 50-50 becomes, will they Terra or not, a lot of times, and that is a huge mind game in itself. And I think it makes Pokemon really interesting right now, because even though there's an open team sheet, I think, and you guys can debate me on this, I think defensive Terras make it harder for the opponent to read you, where offensive Terras would just be like an increase into damage. And if you don't really have to, I mean, I don't want to say you don't have to, but it's you have to account less for the extra damage, as opposed to just getting your damage completely nullified if they go the other type, or you just guess wrong. I think that could be way more impactful defensively.
I think there's a place for both in this format, in this metagame. We saw a lot of offensive Terras in the finals and in the top cut of the stream, where players would Terra steal their Goldengo just to get out that little extra damage to get knockouts that they need.
Yep.
And then we also saw defensive Terras like Miluka's Garganackle turned into Terra Poison, and with Wide Guard it blocked off a lot of the super effective moves that would normally hit it, like
Standing force,
Earthquake.
earthquake.
Yep.
Exactly, and it forces you to use single target moves to deal with it, which are uncommon in some of those types.
Mhm.
So I definitely think there's a place for both. I mean, on my team personally that I used at the regional, I had completely went down the defensive terror boat. All of my Pokemon utilized defensive terrors, and they did come in clutch. In my opinion, but I could definitely see, the use case for an offensive
I mean,
terror.
yeah,
Like when I was using Goldengo,
yeah. There's the,
I love Terror Steel on
I
it.
mean, yeah, there's the argument that some Terras are a mix of both as well. I mean, like Chomp and Goldengo are
Yeah.
perfect examples where you do get the extra boost, but you also do eliminate one of your weaknesses sometimes. Or in Chomp, he goes from quad to just duo to some attacks, and he still gets the offensive boost. So I mean, Terra can go 3 ways, right? It can go pure
Right.
offense, and in terms of like Terra blasting, gaining another stab and covering for a weakness that way, which I guess you can argue could be a defensive tactic, which is kind of weird. But you can go the Goldengo Garchomp route where you get the extra damage and remove a weakness, or you could just go purely defensive, like those dragons that go Fairy type or something like that. I mean, people can get really creative, and I think terrestrialization is a really cool mechanic because of that.
Yeah, I mean, even in the top cut, we saw Wolf use Terra Grass on his Annihilate just so he could avoid Rage Powder when he played James Bake and just hit Final Gambit. Like an application like that is super situational, but if you know that situation can pop up here and there, and you might win a game just by clicking the Terra button and conserving your Terra until that moment. I think it's worth considering.
I have a lot to say on that topic. I feel like when it comes to terror types, defensive terrors are a lot easier to click, right? Like it's a lot, because if you have a lead out, right, and you're like, wow, I could be in a really good position right now if I just defensive terror, avoid them knocking out my whatever one of your leads is, and then you just keep the momentum flowing from that point. Like I feel like defensive terrors were one of my weak points, because every time I just had a defensive terror, I kind of just wanted to click it, like as soon as the battle started. And if anyone has played extensively in this format, you understand conserving your terra up until the last moment that you could use it is probably gonna end up being very good for you. So if you can conserve it very late in the game, that's gonna, unless like that lead and that whatever defensive terra and offensive terra is literally gonna, we saw in the finals, and I believe it was game 3 where we saw an offensive terra with the Goldengo,
Right,
where
when Goldengo Terra Steel
into Meowscarada, and it
Mhm.
got both KOs. Like in a situation like that where you can offensively Terra and then guarantee those knockouts, that's very good. But me personally, and all my testing, and especially at the regionals too, I realized like if I could like Terra flying my Goldengo or whatever my Terra was, or Terra Water, Garchomp, I always felt like I wanted to click it, right? So I feel like, so we saw even on Maluka's team, he had 4 offensive Terras. He had the Mimikyu, the Taurus, the Meowscarada, and the Goldengo. That was all offensively Terra. He had a Poison on Garganacl, and he had a Water on Baxcalibur. Those are obviously more defensive, but I feel like offensive terrors were much easier to hold off of until you really needed it. So he obviously recognized in game 3, game 1, whatever it was, that offensive terror was his way to go. That's how he was going to win this game. So in those situations, offensive terrors work. But if me personally, if I had to rebuild a team from the ground up for Series 1, I would have gone with a lot more offensive terras, just because I felt like that ideally, because that's more in control of what you have to do. Because for you to defensively terra, obviously, like it can work out because it can be a situation where there's nothing they can do against you. But for the most part, it's a read. A lot of times it's going to be a read when you.
I mean, the thing is, I think it's super situational. You can't say make a blanket statement like, oh, offensive terrors give you more control and defensive terrors, you're more inclined to click it. Like that might just be player by player.
Right, that could be
preference.
player preference. Yes.
And the thing is too, like I think it comes down to situational awareness, and someone like Miluka who has thousands of games on the ladder, they know when to terra and when not to terra. Whereas like if you're someone who doesn't have as much experience with the metagame, or you're more inclined to defensive terror, it might just because you want to play it safe because you're not 100% sure on a calc, or you're not sure if you can win the matchup without defensively tearing your Pokemon. So I think it's hard to say one is definitively better than the other, and you should consider one more than the other in team building. But I think there is a place for both, and throughout the tournament we saw success with both of them. I'm sure there were plentiful of wins that came because you went for the defensive Terra and your opponent couldn't do anything at that point. You know,
No, that's true.
you
I
you
agree.
had a clutch survival, and then you knock out the opponent's Pokemon in return. You know, that might just win you the game. So I think there's a place for both, and that's why I love the mechanics so much. You know,
So
it's
let's
so
get down
complex.
to the nitty gritty of it. Do we believe that terrestrialization is the best dynamic that we've had in VGC so far?
Okay. Hold on. Okay, mix of an answer here. Best in terms of competitive or
Strategy.
best in terms of like
Strategy.
allure?
What do you mean by
Like,
alert?
you know, like how appealing it is to the audience, because I think there's two types of best. I mean, I think
No, I think Megas,
right, I think that's what I would say too. I think Megas is
yeah.
the best,
Those are
but in terms of just from a competitive standpoint,
I think just from a metagame and a strategic
I think
standpoint.
Terra's would be the best for me. I'd have to agree
sure.
with that. I mean, well, I don't think anyone said that, but that's my opinion.
I think Megas were up there.
Sorry?
Megas were very, very
Oh
good.
no, Megas
I
are
think
really
it's
good
certain-
too. Competitively, they were great. I mean, aside from the appeal factor, Megas were a great competitive.
I think
edge
in
as
certain formats they were great, but then in others they were super centralizing. Like in 2014, while Mega Kangaskhan was like the guy, you know, that was Himothy, even though Kangaskhan are only female.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Kangaskhan just dominated that format for the most part, but we did see towards the end of the season a lot of other megas were viable. You know, Mega Charizard, Mega Lucario, Mega Gyarados, you know, Mega Gardevoir. Like, so many Pokemon became viable throughout that season, but a lot of a lot of the pack just went with Mega Kangaskhan. But then, like, if you look at a format like 2015 or 2016, it was dominated by just a few megas, like towards the end of those seasons. You know, like, again, lots of Mega Kangaskhan, maybe some Mega Mensas, the Metagross here and there, but those are like the main focal points. Whereas, like, I think terrestrialization, every player is using a different Terra. You know,
Right.
You don't really see, you know, the exact same lineup unless, you know, that person is team building
Right.
with someone else in cut.
There's definitely I'd say a lot more room for player expression, which I think is really important in a lot of competitive games these days. I think player expression is one of those things where you get to stand out and make an impact and show that, you know, you might be thinking outside the box. And before, I think a lot of times when it came to thinking outside the box, Pokemon was maybe a little bit more limited in terms of, like, you say someone really, you know, broke the meta or thought outside the box because they used a unique mon, or a very niche mon, or like a move set. But now with Terras, I mean, dude, anything could be unique and niche.
Right. I mean, you can see metagame development in just the Terra types alone.
Yep.
Just
I
take
think team
Hydreigon,
building-
for
I think
example.
team building is a lot of fun, a lot more
Right.
fun than it was in previous formats.
Right, exactly. You know, so many Pokemon that were, you know, lackluster. Well, not lackluster, but like they were like middle of the pack. Terras give them like a new sense of life, that you're capable of take advantage of their wide move pools or their stats. If they don't have, like, you know, the best move pools, you can just run Terra Blast and get a whole new stab, switch just their typing up, and be able to take advantage of them in a way that you couldn't before. But like I was saying before, like, you could just see metagame development in just the Terra types of Pokemon alone. Like Hydreigon at the beginning of the format were
Oh, for
primarily
sure.
running Terra Steel and Terra Poison, and then you saw a big jump in usage of Terra Fire Hydreigon to, you know, kind of deal with the Terra Steels in the 1v1. And then this weekend, I think the majority of the Hydreigon that were in cut, they were Terra Steel, but they didn't run a fire move. They ran Dark Pulse instead. So it's like there's a lot of progression in just the Terra types alone. And you also saw that with Dondozo, you know, like Terra Steel, Terra Flying, Terra Grass.
Terra Dragon,
There's so many
Terra
Terra
Steel,
Dragon, exactly.
they're all over the place.
So
And the
many
thing is,
variants.
there's no right Terras either. It's kind
Right.
of like whatever
What works
you
for your
feel-
team, you know,
what
and
works
what
for
do you
your
feel
team,
is a better
whatever.
call.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think terrestrialization just provides a very good dynamic when it comes to team building, especially, and then it allows people to kind of get very creative with teams that kind of look similar to each other, but you have different Terra types,
different ways mons are playing. So it's kind of like it allows everyone to kind of play a team, and that's where open team sheets come in, because it's like you at least know exactly what's happening. I think this format without OTS, open team sheets, would be very, very volatile, because you have no idea what anyone's gonna do. I think it would be a clusterfuck. That show would be rough.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely. I agree with that for sure. Like if we didn't have open team sheets,
Right.
that's one thing. You know,
I think that's the main reason for the implementation, honestly.
I mean, I think it's partially that, and then also the fact that they don't know how to block battle boxes. We don't have battle boxes anymore, which is
Why are we
like
going
a downgrade.
Why
That's
are
what
we
I'm
going
saying.
backwards?
You know,
I don't
next they're
understand.
gonna take away our chairs. So it's gonna be like 2009 where we have to stand up.
Oh.
We have to stand up.
That's what I'm saying. You know.
No shot. No shot.
They're gonna take up tables, bro. We're gonna have to hold and switch.
Hey,
No, seriously though, I don't understand why we're going backwards. Like, okay, maybe there's no way for us to lock battle boxes, but it's like it's causing so many issues. And then let's not even get started on the disconnects that happened this event. So we had like issues.
yeah,
I had
there
an
were quite a
issue-
few.
Right, round one, I had my issues, and then I couldn't get my battle started 3 times in a row. So I was getting a disconnect right at the beginning of the as soon as we sent out our Pokemon. So a judge comes over and she's like, "Oh, maybe you have to set your time zone to the West Coast time zone, which was LA, Vancouver." So we set it, and thankfully I didn't have any more disconnects throughout the rest of the tournament. But I had other people telling me that they set their time zones and they still had disconnects later on their round. So
Yeah,
that's something that they really have to.
There are a few hiccups, you know, going around with the communication errors going up. I mean, this is the first time we used Union Circle as the means of connecting to players when we battle, because we don't have a live competition mode.
Also, fun fact, you don't have to double set a battle code when you're doing the double battles. Once you're in the Union Circle with your opponent, you just go straight into the battle. Just search for your double
no need
battle
for password
without setting a link code, and you're good to go. That's gonna hopefully speed up the process if you didn't know.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, beyond the slight communication errors though, I didn't have any issues. You know, I had a couple games where we sent out leads and we had the connection error, we had to reconnect. I mean, that's something, you know, that's also interesting. You know, technically, you don't have to send out the same leads as per the official ruling. I don't know how I feel about that. You know,
Based
I
on
know-
the integrity of the game, send out the same leads, please. Send out the same back two mons. Like if
I
your
mean,
opponent-
But you
if your
can't
opponent-
fault your opponent for doing either. Like a judge was literally called over for one of these situations, and they're like, "Yeah,
I
well,
don't care. I'm
technically-"
faulting my opponent, bro. If we lead the same thing, like lead
Bro,
the
if
same
you switch
thing,
your leads
like-
on me, I know that you know that I was gonna win. That's all.
Like-
I'm just
Right.
saying.
I mean,
right?
there's
That
no
might
I
be
don't
the
mind
case.
you switch the ones in the back, because you know even I didn't know about that. You can keep that
Right,
secret to
right.
yourself.
I mean,
Keep that on
we
your-
don't
keep
know
that
if
to
they switch the
yourself,
ones
you
in the
know,
back,
but-
if you switch the-
Hit me with the same leads.
If
Like
we
let's
switch
run
the
it
ones in the
back.
back,
Let's run it back. Let's.
Right.
Just have respect for the game. Have respect for the game. Like, let's just be.
That'd be a
adults
pretty
about
funny.
this.
That'd be a pretty funny episode, like unspoken like truths in the VGC
Right,
scene.
right,
That's
right,
funny.
right,
See, for sure.
It's like, come on, like,
Anything
you don't
else
want to
for-
get hacked in your later rounds. If you do some stupid shit, you're gonna get hacked. You're gonna get
Yeah,
hit by a pitcher.
That's bad.
That's
juju
bad.
for
Yeah,
sure, you know?
100%.
You're gonna get hit by a pitcher, bro.
That's bad juju for sure.
Dondozo pitcher is gonna hit you.
Oh, never that.
In terms of San Diego, I think we've covered a lot of it. I think we even touched a little bit on the meta, but I think there's only
Ray, what was your biggest
There we go.
disappointment on your
There we
team
go.
in San Diego?
Oh man, you already know what my answer is. So I brought Cerulich. I brought a version of Fede Campos' team, which he won the Limitless Tour with. That was the tournament back in December. One of the first major tournaments that we had in Series 1. So I brought I used that team originally, but then I took out the Dragonite for Garchomp, because I think all of us kind of agree here that we just figured Chomp was going to be very, very good. And it was. Chomp was very, very good in this format, because a lot of people were running it very early in the meta, and then they kind of stopped running it for like Dragonite, Hydreigon. They switched it out for other mons, and then everyone kind of took off all their like Chomp counters. So Chomp was very, very good for me.
It was good.
I mean, there was a lot of
But
Baxcalibur
with
too.
all the all the
Yeah,
Baxcalibur and
there was a lot of
Dragonites in
Baxcalibur,
cut,
there
you
was.
know, there were only 3 Garchomp in cut, whereas there were at least 6 of Baxcalibur and Dragonite in cut, and then also Hydreigon. So it was the
Right.
least used out of the dragons for sure. But I still think it was good. I also used Garchomp, and I liked it a lot. I think Life Orb Chomp is is amazing in this format if you could pilot it well.
But to answer your question though, Cerulege was definitely the mon that I felt like had no purpose on my team. It's kind of brutal, but it was. I just didn't feel comfortable bringing it in. I'm sure everyone that was playing this tournament had one mon kind of that they felt like they weren't bringing enough. Maybe not speaking for Ant. He
lost a mon. Like
I lost the mon, and it's not even the mon I dislike the most.
He still
Yeah,
brought
no,
it up.
I brought the mousehold.
Can you tell us?
Like, it was body.
Tell us about a game where you just brought the mouse with two
No,
moves.
yeah, like there are.
Hey,
there are a
population
couple,
bomb, bro. Don't
That's what
sleep
I'm
on
saying. Population bomb. If they don't have answers, if I didn't see Rocky Helmet and I saw hardly any ghost types and steel types, I was bringing that motherfucker, bro. Mousehold was in the house. The mouse was in the house.
it. I brought Mousehold so many games. Bro.
It was just so
The
good.
mouse gets his power
Even
from
with
family,
just two
bro. He
moves.
belongs in like Fast and
That's what I'm
Furious,
saying.
and he's hella
You get
fast
fucked
too.
up by a family of four.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Family 4
He
out
might
here.
be stronger than Vin Diesel, bro. I don't know.
They
But,
pull up in the Grand Caravan, bro.
On my end, I thought Merkur was the most disappointing mon. Like, honestly, Tailwind was great, sure. But beyond that, Murkrow kind of just sits on the field. I wish, in honest opinion, I wish I went for a more offensive Murkrow. And I think then it might have been a little bit more useful.
I ran into a Brave Bird and a Sucker Punch Murkrow.
And I think something like that. Because,
Right.
sometimes you're just stuck with Murkrow on the field. And you don't want to pivot it out to give your opponent a free switch out.
Right.
So,
I mean,
I think,
half the issue is, Murkrow is that Pokemon in the meta that he makes sense to the team because of Don Bozo, and then you're like.
But that's the thing. I don't even think it auto wins.
No, it does. It does. No, it definitely
could.
doesn't. But it kind of sneaks onto the team because, like for some of the reasons.
I think Hayes auto wins that.
No,
matchup.
It definitely doesn't. You only saw 2 Murkrow in the top 32.
Yeah, exactly.
And you saw 6 Dondozo.
I think
so
it auto wins
just
when it
proves
goes
right there.
off. No, it still doesn't. I lied. Okay, it deters, or it does very well into the matchup if it can go off. But like the options that the Dondozo player has to, throw them off or get rid of it first, or that's half the battle.
A Dondozo under a very good pilot.
Right. Okay. So that's
It's
what I was
very
gonna
good.
bring up. I think like Murkrow could deter, the average player or like the player that's not as experienced.
Right.
But the good players, which realistically, if you're going to regionals, there are gonna be a lot of good players that are playing. Teams like Dondozo. Those players kind of know how to navigate that matchup. So while it can be useful, it's not near. It doesn't get as much mileage as it does against the the guy at 1500 or 1600 on the ladder, or the person you're playing on ranked in Master Ball.
To add on to that, another reason why Murkrow may have also felt lackluster was earlier on in the format he was used to reset DMs and make it rains as well. Make it rain he can still do that, but a lot of Hydreigons, obviously switched to the crit builds, and then there's way less usage for Haze at that point.
We can talk about that.
There's way less usage for Haze.
I was running the crit Hydreigon and
Focus energy. We're referring to focus energy.
Right. Yeah, and I didn't feel like I had any need for Haze because of that. I could just click focus energy and just keep dropping Draco Meteors. But I did feel at times that the damage output of at least of Timid crit Hydreigon was a little lackluster. Sometimes there's some games I wish I wish this is a little tiny bit more, but it is what it is. It didn't lose me any games. It's just it made them a little more drawn up.
All right, moving on though. Let's. I noticed something this weekend.
What you noticed, my boy? What you noticed?
Let's talk about who the most dripped out player was.
Yo, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Some of the VGC heads, they came through drippy.
They were good.
I thought our little crew was gonna be a little drippy, or maybe Lorcy be rocking
Lorcy's
the drip.
Yo,
Or sometimes Karis be having drip, but we had some standouts, bro. I'm not gonna hold you.
Hey,
They kind of blew us out.
I'm not gonna hold Jody, bro. Jody was coming with some sweaters, some sweatpants.
Yo, Jody has some drip. Did you peep the corduroy shirt he had on stream?
Dude,
that was drippy.
That's
I ain't gonna lie. I gotta go shopping with that guy. Jody, we're gonna hit your line, bro. Yo, Sheldon, you watch the stream at home. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I watched the stream. Jody really was dripped out, but I'm not gonna lie. I did see. I got these guys on my personal social media, Ant and Rayette, and my guy Ant whipped out the brand new on ice breads, the UT breads. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
I
this
did bring
guy
out
has
the
had those
Yeezys.
shoes for at least 2 years now and has never wore
He
them.
was bringing low. He was
Yeah,
bringing low.
yeah. I had to bring the drip, bro, for the first Pokemon tournament back in 5 years. Come on now.
Jeez.
Come on, I had the
Hey,
had
wait,
the bread
I think
Yeezys.
Chupa,
They
I
were
think
comfy.
Chupa had the button down though for cut.
Oh.
No. Tripa had the green tea. The green tea with the
He didn't have
the,
a button down.
the logo on
I take it
the
back. I take it
on
back. I
the-
take it back.
the
Never,
pocket?
Chupa, come on, man. Come
No.
on.
Tripa be coming with some drip occasionally. I ain't gonna hold you.
Bring the button
But-
down, my boy.
Yo, you know who I peeped too?
Mm.
Shout out to Nino Bros with the Pokemon
Oh!
suit. Did you
Yo!
remember that from day one? He had
I
the
couldn't
full
believe my
suit,
eyes. And this,
and
he
I
had, like,
that was
he had
drippy,
some-
bro.
He had some sneakers on. I don't know if they were Nikes
He
or
had-
what. But like they were.
He had head to
dripped
toe
out.
with the Pokemon drip. Hopefully one of us can find a picture. We can throw it up for you guys, those of us who are watching on
Yeah, that was
YouTube.
insane.
But
Oh.
Nino Bros had the drip, the dad drip, and shout out to his son for top cutting
Right.
seniors. You know?
Yeah, man. Good for them. That's exciting. That's fun
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Shout out to the commentators as well. They're all really well dressed throughout the entire weekend. Because
Oh,
I wasn't
yeah.
there, so I watched the
Solid, yeah.
stream, and I have to say they all dressed. Obviously really well, and shout out to them. They definitely are in the drip conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I was a big fan of Necra's sweater from day one, and then of course I can't forget about my boy Aaron Cybertron Zhang coming through with the fresh cut. Did y'all
Yo,
peep
dude,
that? Sheesh.
he was swaggy.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, we gotta get him on the podcast.
Oh.
You know, TM87 life.
Hey, yo, where's my boy Evan Ladd though? He coming back?
Hey, I don't know. We have
My
Scott
boy
though.
Evan-
We have Scott.
Scott.
Evan Ladd and Scott Glaza. Those guys were
Mhm.
iconic, man. We got to get those two back
That's what
together.
I'm
on
saying.
stage.
But yeah, I mean,
Jeez.
actually, we could talk about the stream experience in general. Sheldon, what were your thoughts on the stream?
I think the
Right.
stream was actually pretty good. The two funny things. Actually, one thing is, in terms of watching the live matches, it felt like the match that was on air was always like a round behind the entire tournament. I don't know if that's like, I don't know how that's communicated from your guys' perspective being there. Like, do you guys have to wait until that match finishes? Because half the time it's like I'm looking at the matchups, the live matchups, and I see like, okay, let's say round 4, and I'm seeing like, someone's 3-1, and I'm just looking at the match, and it's still the round 3 match on stream. I don't know. It took a while for those matches to get aired, but other than that, the viewing experience was pretty good. That and the Twitch chat was hilarious. I mean, shout out to Wolf Glick. That guy has an insane following. Half the time, the chat is going, "Where's Wolf? What's his record? What's he doing? What's next?" I'm like, "Wait, he's not.
Yo, he got
just-
the world champ difference.
He has the world.
Come on.
yeah,
now.
but he's not on air right now. Just chill." But it was really funny. I mean, it was a great experience to watch it, and it's great to be at a time where you can feel like you're there at the event and support the game and your friends even when you're not there in person.
So I think in person, it felt like they were delaying the stream matches up until a point where kind of like a lot of games like for that round were already finished with like game 1. So by the time the stream matchup finished, it was kind of already ready. Like that was pretty much the last matchup into the next round. So that way it was minimal delays between rounds. They were able to build up hype as commentators for whatever game they were showing on stream at that point. So I think that's how it kind of felt in person, where they're like delaying the start of the stream matchup, so it kind of ended right when the round would end. So that way it can flow very smoothly. I never felt like it was behind like a round or anything, but I'm sure like as a viewer at home, maybe it might have felt that way. But yeah, it flowed pretty smooth. There was a lot of times where like my matchups would finish and it would literally like game 1 wouldn't have even started yet for a stream matchup, and I was able to watch like the entire stream, or whatever, going back to the hotel. So there was a lot of times where I felt like the stream matchups were definitely being delayed on purpose just so the rounds would flow a lot smoother.
Yeah, one thing too I gotta comment on is the production value of the stream has gone up immensely in terms of, the staging. They have the analyst room now, so I thought those were all great segments to add, and the quality was there. The only thing that was lacking, in my opinion, was the game itself. We went from playing in these huge, like, ginormous stadiums filled with a giant crowd, really getting you hyped about Pokemon.
You're
Know,
talking
it's a
about the
very
in-game.
Yeah. So the in-game engine, exactly. Like,
Right.
it seemed like a grand spectacle, and then we go from that, drawing in like thousands of people watching
playground?
you, to a playground with like 4-5 people watching you,
And don't
battle.
forget,
So
those can spawn in the background. There's a glitch.
oh yeah, yep. There's some interesting glitches that pop up here and there. I mean, at the beginning of the first streamed match, we had to disconnect and they had to kind of restart. So it shows you kind of how buggy the games are. So hopefully, the 1.2 update that's coming out soon kind of resolves some of these issues. But yeah, I think that's about it for our San Diego
I mean,
analysis.
once again, congratulations to Jisuk Lee for winning the event. That guy was on another level this event.
He was dominant.
He had a great team.
He came from Toronto and bodied every single one of us.
Yeah, so he shout out to that guy, bro. He did his thing
for sure. Weekend. And then shout out to the tournament organizers and all the judges. They helped make the event run pretty smoothly. This is one. I honestly thought we were going to go to 12, like 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and we wrapped before 9 o'clock for the people that played all 10 rounds on Saturday. So that's definitely a major prop, and hopefully Orlando has the same schedule, because I'm not looking forward to playing until the wee hours of the night.
I mean, for all the love we've shown Series 1 so far, let's just talk about how short that was. Like, one regional we have with Series 1?
No, for sure. That
was
super rough.
I can't believe that.
My guy Doubles here is not even get a chance to play in an official.
That is rough.
At this point, I might not get to play for Series 2 because I already missed the registration. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's get into Series 2.
Well, let's say something about Series 1. I think hot take. I think this is the best format we've had in Pokemon. Period.
I think it's up there with VGC 17. I think those two formats were very good. Obviously, there's a lot of people that didn't like Z moves. I understand that. Maybe you didn't like terrains, whatever. But I think VGC 17 was a very fun format. That run from 2014 to 2017, even 2018, if you want to throw that in, was very, very fun.
I can see that. I even think I really enjoyed 12 and 13. Those are some of the OG, but that's like before the modern era that started in Gen 6. But I think Gen 7 with 2017 was a great format that was very skillful, and this format feels like that, and 14, and like all the other regional formats, I think regional formats inherently are more skillful formats because it limits you to what Pokemon you could use.
Yeah, I will say this felt like, despite the 50-50 calls when it comes to Terras and all that, I felt like this was definitely the most skillful format we've had in a while. Especially coming off of like Dynamax, which I skipped. I did not play that format just because it was during the pandemic, whatever. Like it wasn't a format that appealed to me. I skipped the Dynamax, the Gen 8 stuff. But I feel like this was definitely one of the most competitive formats that we've had. I know some people are tweeting saying they have hot takes saying they feel like this format isn't good, but that's a hot take. For the most part, a lot of the player base felt like this was a very, very fun format. They felt like, and you can even just see what like the top cut teams and the Swiss teams, whatever it is, like everyone just had something different that they were running. Everyone figured out something. Everyone was kind of team building from the ground up. You had a lot of interesting minds. You just see with the diversity that you have in the top cut teams and the Swiss teams, like everyone just had fun with what they were trying to bring to this event. So I think that's a very it's not like 2015 where you had like at Worlds. I mean, obviously I can't speak for Worlds. Worlds didn't happen yet for this format, but where the format didn't really centralize too much, which is I think that's always a good sign that a format was good, where everyone is kind of just using what they felt was viable. Obviously Terra's add a whole new dynamic to the entire format because everyone can kind of use one team, but if you have completely different Terras on every mon, then the team is completely different. So Terras kind of dictate exactly how your team was going to run, and I think that was a very good dynamic for team building in this format. And so I think this was definitely one of the most skillful formats we've ever had.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it short. I have to agree with both of you, and I think Anthony said that this may have been the best format, and I have to agree. So in terms of from a competitive standpoint, the options are limitless, and like I said earlier, the room for player expression is almost infinite, and it makes for really great and fun, exciting play.
Yeah, no, definitely. And one thing to add, you could see all the players that are coming back. players wouldn't be coming back to the game if the format wasn't fun or didn't feel skillful. You see so many old players that played back in the day, whether it was 2012, 2011, or even further back than that, or from the more modern era from 2014 to 2018. A ton of players are coming back that haven't played in a long time because one, Scarlet and Violet are a lot of fun in spite of all of the problems that they have, how glitchy they are. Because this format is great and terrestrialization as a whole is just a really skillful and cool mechanic.
Couldn't agree more.
Agreed.
Yeah, so I think we're clear there to move on to Series 2 now. Maybe? Yeah, okay.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Series 2 is gonna be fun.
For you guys, because, I mean, like I said, I don't know if I'm even going to
Well,
be there.
look, hey, Knoxville is still open.
I mean,
for me. Knoxville is still
You're
open.
right. I mean, okay, first of
We
all,
we
how do we
probably won't
feel
be there,
about
but-
regional 2 days into the new series? How about that? I mean, what do you guys have to think? What do you guys have to say about that? Because I'm not gonna be there. So if you guys want to go through 10 plus rounds of Swiss with 2 days of meta development, I mean, let me know. Showdowns are medium, but I mean, it's really gonna be 2 days of it actually being live. So
I mean,
let
yeah,
me know how you feel about it.
That's definitely gonna be rough. The official ladder doesn't pop up until the Thursday before the regional, but I think luckily we have a lot of grassroots tournaments that have been popping up with this generation. Even since day one of Scarlet and Violet, there's been a lot of growth in the grassroots scenes. Between the Limitless tours, the Nino Bro tours. I know Durant's TV's been hosting some, and Beanie Guy. I think at this point there's almost 2 to 3 tours going on weekly that are available online where you could play on cart to get the OTS experience. And then also, like we mentioned earlier, Showdown has implemented open team sheets as an option for players to get that open team sheet practice online, in a fast way. So again, do yourself a solid and click that agree to open team sheet button if you're trying to get the practice in before regionals. Yeah, unless you're a bot, like Ray had said.
No, so I think the in-game, the ladder showing up 3 days before Orlando is gonna be a problem for anyone that wants in-game practice, obviously. But I also don't think that in-game practice is gonna be as huge as it was for Series 1, because Series 1 was pretty much the first format where everyone kind of got accustomed to how the in-game, because Scarlet and Violet only came out about 2 months ago, so everyone kind of still has to get adjusted to in-game battling and all that. So I don't think it's gonna be as huge for Series 2. What I do think is that Pokemon Showdown having OTS is gonna be huge for practice, because in Series 1 we had no legitimate way to practice freely for regionals, right? We had, like, if you wanted to play against a friend or whoever, or challenge someone randomly to an open team sheet best of 3, that was pretty much your only chance of getting decent practice, or relevant practice I should say, for the regional. Now you have at least the ladder that, if let's say 70% of people are going to accept open team sheets, you have a good way to practice on the ladder. Besides that, you have, if you want to hit up anyone on the side, if you want to practice among friends, you have that option as well. But I think Series 2, I think a lot more people will definitely go in more practice, more ready for open team sheets. The meta is definitely much different than Series 1. Like, I saw a lot of, obviously Goldango dominated Series 1. I haven't seen much of any of that in the ladder so far. It's very centralized around Paradox Mons. It's very centralized around Amoonguss, things of that nature. So I mean, you see, you have the one of the first VGC Series 2 tournaments, the Whooper Wednesdays, and you had teams that are very centralized around just their Paradox Mons. You had a lot of Amoonguss. I think you have Amoonguss in 5 out of 8 of the teams, right there. Lots of
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're working off. Obviously, we're gonna have a lot more information in the coming week or two. We're gonna see a lot of these grassroots tournaments, and we're gonna see a lot of what teams are cutting, what teams are doing consistently well, and a lot of people. And that's where kind of the metagame is gonna centralize, and that's kind of what you're gonna have to figure out counters for. And if you can figure that out, I think you're well on your way to doing well for Series 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, a lot of the metagame is gonna be defined by these online tournaments. With 2 to 3 weekly tournaments going on, through Nino Bros, Durans, and then the Beanie Brawl tournaments. That's where we're gonna see a lot of the results, and then I guess through the Showdown ladder as well, because this is gonna be our primary way of getting that OTS practice. And unfortunately, some of these are scheduled at times where certain players can't play, but it would be in your best interest to just hop on, play in one of them if you haven't played an open team sheet tour yet, just to get a feel for it, because it definitely does not play the same as
Definitely.
regular ladder or like closed team sheet. Just best of 3 is a completely different game than best of 1, and going from that to an open team sheet environment where whatever surprises may pop up from your opponent, it definitely changes your game plan and the way you approach the game.
Right,
I'm
right.
disappointed. There's no Slitherwing in this top cut, man.
Speaking of, okay, this is perfect actually that you said that. Rayad, okay, what just early predictions. One mon that you think is going to be able to, if not run the format, have major impact. I'll start off because I'm posing the question. I think Roaring Moon is going to see a lot of play or be very impactful. What definitely early game. I'm not sure how it'll fare in the long run, but I think it'll end up there too. So yeah, that's my take on it. Oh, go ahead, Rayad. I know you mentioned Slitherwing, but what's your take on that?
So I've been using Slitherwing personally, and I think it has very good coverage with a Terra Water Blast because I've been running it with a rain team, and Terra Blast Water has been a very good option. And you have close combat, you have acrobatics. A lot of people running it with booster energy. It allows it to get very good coverage across the format. Especially you have a lot of Amoonguss running around. You have a lot of Brubane running around. So to get acrobatics up, which is why I think you see a lot of Iron Bundles, a lot of Roaring Moons, because they both have great coverage if you're running acrobatics, Roaring Moon into those Amoonguss slots. Um, I think I think personally, like I don't know how good Roaring Moon is gonna be just because it loses to Iron Bundle and Fluttermane, who are gonna be undoubtedly two of the most used mons in the format. I think I don't know. When it comes to we see a lot of Iron Hands. Iron Hands has been it's been giving me problems. I'm not gonna lie. Iron Hands has been very very good. Wild Charge. I think electric typing in general is just very good because a lot of there's a lot of water types in the format. Especially we see the rise of Taurus. Taurus is obviously you can run the fire typing, but the water typing has been very good at one San Diego. So with Taurus being good, you might see a lot of we should really consider Defiant users as well. King Gambit, I think, is going to be very, very good. You're going to have a lot of Arcanines running around. You're going to have a lot of Taurus running around. You wanna run King Gambit. You want to run. I haven't seen a lot of Annihilate so far in Series 2, but I think it does have a. You see it on Yotum's team. It definitely can it can have a role. I think for sure.
Interesting that you brought up Yotam's team, because him and Neil VGC Piplup 175, they both use Series 1
Yeah.
teams to make it into the top cut. And actually, Zap VGC as well.
Right. Right. Right.
The 3 of them all managed to perform well in spite of not having Paradox Pokemon. So it just goes to show that while these Paradox Pokemon are very strong, you can still see some success, and not all of your practice from Series 1 is going to be in vain, You could carry some of that over. But yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of rain right now and a lot of Tauros as a kind of like as a response to the top cut from last week's regional. I think a lot of people are exploring those options, and they do have a lot of synergy with some of the Pokemon in the Series 2 format, and it kind of responds to what I think is gonna pop up a lot of Sun teams. You know,
Mm.
half of the Paradox mods take advantage of Sun with photosynthesis, and those Torkoal based teams are definitely going to be out here in the early format. So that's something definitely to have on your radar for Orlando and any of these online tours if you're going to be playing in them in the upcoming weeks. But I don't know if I have a particular Paradox mod that stands out to me. I think a lot of them are very good, and could all see
Nah,
some
we
usage.
gotta get a hot take, bro. We gotta get a hot take, cause
A hot
we're
take?
gonna be able to look back at this and be like, yo, I called it.
Contender
I
right now.
called it. We gotta get the
The
hot take. Hot take.
I mean, I think Brute Bonnet's gonna have the most usage out of all of them.
Really?
It's
I like that.
Amoonguss
I
on
like
crack.
that. It is a
Really?
Amoonguss on crack.
Defensive,
It just loses
Eh,
Regenerator. He's not
That's what
wrong.
I'm saying. You know, it's an Amoonguss that has offensive prowess, and I think those bulky mons are gonna be very strong going into the next format, especially because everyone's gonna be so focused on hyper offense, and they're gonna want to get knockouts. But then if you could stop them from getting that clutch knockout here and there with your bulk, and you could put them in a position where you slow down their momentum, I think that's going to be super clutch in terms of winning you games and taking sets from people, instead of just being able to punch your way out with like Flutter Mane or Roaring Moon or
Yeah.
any of
Look,
those
yeah,
super hyper offensive mons.
Look, and I heard everything you just said, but don't sleep
Mhm.
on Sandy Shocks. Do not sleep on Sandy Shocks. I think it has a very, very good place in the meta right now. You're looking at base 121 special attack, base 101 speed. You're hitting 168 speed. Obviously, that's not touching your Flutter Mains, your Iron Bundles, but I think there's a lot of Pokemon very weak to, like, I was playing Sheldon in best of 3 earlier, and I struggle against electric types. That's kind of how my team is built, and I think Sandy Shocks has a very, very good place in the meta right now. I remember I played it on ladder earlier, probably yesterday, and it gave me a hard time. It definitely gave me a hard time. So no, it has very good typing, electric ground. So I definitely think you saw it be second in this Whooper Wednesdays tournament. So you definitely have to respect it.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of what Rayad is talking about there, Sandy Shocks, I mean, even with a defensive terror, I mean, the base speed and special attack is a lot, and the coverage is actually insane. It gets T-Bolt. I mean, that can handle the Iron Bundle. It gets access to even Earth Power. That can even Goldengos and King Gambits aren't safe these days.
Right.
And it even gets stuff like Power Gem. It can take on a Volcarona, a fire type. The coverage is insane on that Pokemon.
I mean, you beat Iron Hands with it too, with a ground typing.
Yeah, it also can go into that. And then on top of that, we always have Terra Blast, depending on what you feel like accounting for. I think that Pokemon might be a sleeper, right? So yeah, nice pickup there.
Yeah, I think that Pokemon's really good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think all the Paradox mons, you can't really sleep on any of them. They're all have really good base stats. Like even what is it, Screamtail? Screamtail's used as a Trick Room setter. There's so many options that can be used in this format, and you don't want to sleep on any of them just because if you don't have any experience against them, they might come and mess your shit up at a regional. So definitely get your practice in while you can.
Right. To add on to that, two things. One with the Screamtail, I think it'd be interesting. I believe it gets Perish Song. I have to double check that. But I wonder how that would be able to be run, because I remember before the rule set was announced, there were early Perish Trap teams, and I believe Screamtail has it. I'm checking right now as we speak. But yeah, Screamtail having Perish Song as a fast user, yeah, it does. I was right. As a fast user, that's a pretty interesting take. And then going back to how the Paradox mons can, merge with the Series 1 ladder. Just looking at something like Judy's team, I think he ran, the Amoonguss. If you swap that with like a Brute Bonnet and then the Salamence for like a Roaring Moon, I mean, those mons could just be more offensive, versions of those mons. But they're also very, I'd say like the Paradox mons are optimized in terms of their EVs, like what they want to do. Like Salamence, 600 base. But it's a lot of attack and a lot of special attack. Whereas in a game you're not really running mixed sets too often, so that could be an interesting take. And then Brute Bonnet has just better defenses than Amoonguss. Probably not typing, but I guess that's where you can spice it up with Terras.
Yeah, right. You got anything to say?
No, yeah, no, that was I agree with everything you said. Not really much to add on there.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we have a lot of options with the Paradox mons, and they'll definitely mix up the metagame from what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. Also, I think that seeing how the metagame shifts every couple months because of the new series is interesting. We only had about 6 weeks of metagame development with Series 1, and hopefully,
That sucked.
I agree. I think there was definitely a lot of room for the metagame to grow, and I think Series 2 will have some more time, just because we have all of February and all of March at the minimum.
But why
And
did they only give us like a month basically with Series 1?
that's a good question.
That's very puzzling. I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. In the past, when we've had series like this, I mean, I guess in Gen 8 we had the series like this, and they added Gigantamax mons after a couple months.
Mm.
We just had regular Dynamax mons for the first 2 months, and then they added Gigantamax, and then after that they added Pokemon Home. So I guess they're trying to do something similar where we'll have Terras for the first series, and then Paradox mons for the second.
Right.
And then in Series 3, we might have the Ruin Mons, and then also Pokemon Home Pokemon, I guess, leading up into to the World Championships. And I guess it's to keep things fresh. But honestly, I'm not a big fan of the whole series setup. I like seeing the metagame develop, and I think there could be a nice middle ground. I think Gen 7, when we played in 2018, 2018, that was the year they had the access to the mascot legendaries, and we had the Sun series, the Moon series, and then the Ultra series. I think that was the best way to do it. Each format had about 4 months to develop. Like, I get that we started in January instead of starting in September, so we might not get 4 months, but we could have gotten 2 to 3 months. I think that would have been better overall for everyone.
All I'm saying is, I know there was a rumor about this, but I really hope that they put in that DLC, I hope they put in that team builder in game, so that way we can just kind of team build whatever team we want and just pull up to a regional, pull up to whatever tournament, rank battles, whatever you want to do. Because getting mons in game, that's a struggle, man. That's a struggle. It's a barrier to entry for a lot of players as well. So I feel like if in that DLC they can drop like a custom team builder, kind of like how we have Showdown. And we could just go ladder immediately with whatever teams we want to come up with, whatever ideas pop into our head. Like that's gonna reduce. We don't want more barriers for players to get into VGC. Like that's the last thing we want right now, because the scene is booming. We have a very good format right now. We have the streams are doing well for tournaments. Like it's a very good place that we're in right now. It came a long way from 2008. Where there was literally no support for the scene, nothing. And now we have, at least some support or whatever. But there's definitely room to grow. There's definitely ways that we can make the scene better, ways that we can support the scene better. So if we can get that custom team builder going in a DLC, maybe in a couple months, that'd be ideal.
If not that, something as simple as that, but make teams easier to get. Like, while building our teams for San Diego, the breeding aspect and the EV training aspect wasn't that bad, but getting the Terra shards, that was annoying as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. Like, every day after work, I'm coming home and running through the whole map just to do Terra raids to get shards, and I wish that it wasn't 50 shards. If it was like 10 shards or like even 20 shards, 25 shards, it would have been much more manageable. The fact that it's 50 shards per Pokemon, it really inhibits your ability to build teams on cart, regularly. That's a big point where I kind of like just did a lot of my practice on Showdown because I didn't want to take the time to get mons on cart, or I used rental teams to play on cart. So I think I agree with you on where it comes to that. For the scene to grow, it needs to be accessible to the players.
Barrier to entry is the last thing we want right now. So
Exactly. Especially when everything else is going pretty right in terms of drawing in new players. I mean, prize support could be better, and I think we need Day 2 Swiss if we're going to have, 500 plus player regionals, because 10 rounds of Swiss, I don't know if that's it. Give us 8 rounds and then a hard, X2 cut for Day 2. And I think you'd be better off.
Yeah, that's definitely something that could that I think would be a great discussion point in like another episode as well. Just the barrier to entry and how easy it is for you to play the game the same way you can play it on and access it on Showdown. I mean, personally speaking, sometimes I just prefer playing on Showdown because it's just quicker paced. Sometimes I don't personally care for all the animations. There's a variety of ways that Showdown appeals to me specifically, but in terms of just being able to just put a mon together, test something else out on the fly. Okay, this didn't work for me in this game, let me just switch it out. Hit queue up again on the ladder, try it out. Okay, I found a solution. Things like that really make the game, for me, as a competitive player, really enjoyable to be able to fine tune my team very quickly. So yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to see Pokemon address, I guess, in the future. Just make it a lot easier for people to play the game. I don't think it generally takes away too much from the casual experience, but just having a dedicated platform for competitive mons would be really cool to see.
No, yeah, definitely, like something like a battle mode.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, just so everyone could just hop in, get their Pokemon, the way they want them to be without minimal effort would be ideal.
No, for sure. Have we seen any dumb shit on the ladder lately? I mean, Series 2 has been it's been brewing for about a couple days now. I'm sure we're all team building, trying to cook something in the lab right now. Haven't really seen anything too outrageous on ladder. I'm about like 1400 right now, but we have it's just a lot of standard stuff I'm seeing. What about you guys?
Nah, I mean, on my end, I haven't really been seeing anything too crazy. I mean, I haven't played too much of Series 2. Been trying to, take a break from Pokemon for this week and then get back into it.
Yeah, we got no
starting
breaks,
next week.
Orlando's in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, 3 weeks is good enough time, 3 weeks is good enough time to
that shit's gonna
get up there
on us real quick.
I mean, it is definitely, but from what I've been seeing, I haven't seen anything too crazy. I've been seeing this weird Electrode team, people running like Electrode with Electric Terrain to set up Electric Terrain for the future Paradox mons, and then they just click Explosion. But that shit is kind of easy to play, like you're taking out a mon, I'm just gonna click Protect, or I'm gonna send a Ghost type. So hey, if you want to run that dumb shit, I'm down to take the free Elo.
And so put the points in the bag real quick. Put the points in the bag. Wow, that's pretty good. In terms of me seeing dumb stuff, I haven't. The metagame is so early right now. It's really hard to call it out. But I mean, back in Series 1, I see some really crazy stuff. But I'll just leave that in the past. Oh yeah, well, no comment on that. But
forget about that.
We'll forget about Series 1 for now. When we got to Series 2, but seriously though, I think the one point, if there's anything to take away from the podcast today, if you queue up against any one of us, just please accept the open team sheet. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's get that friendly good practice in and learn together.
Yeah, at least if you choose the open team sheet, when you get bodied, at least you know what bodied you.
Hey, lose with honor. Lose with honor, my friend.
That's what I'm saying. Nah, but seriously, if you guys ever want to play us in some best of threes, hit our lines. We're always available. Shoot us a DM and we can set something up, because we're trying to grind right now. I want to get a top cut this season.
Baby. This is a grind.
I'm trying to get back in the top cut. And hopefully hold down the medal, because they don't end up bricks anymore. So I can't say I'm trying to get a brick, unfortunately.
All right, look, if you've made it this far into the podcast, listen, we greatly appreciate that. You guys, whoever's been listening to this point, we've been babbling a little bit, but this is fun. This is what we do. We discuss a lot of the metagame for San Diego coming up for Series 2, and I think this year is gonna be a lot of fun for VGC. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. To add on to that, shout out to you guys. Thank you for listening and tuning in. But we have hopes for this to continue on a weekly basis, and stay on top of VGC content, gaming in general, and just staying involved with the community. So with that, if you guys could let us know what you want to see us talk about on here, that would be great. I know we have a couple ideas for future episodes. stuff like maybe even like rate my teams, give back to the Reddit. I see a lot of rate my team, posts on there. Like we can cover topics, like hot topics like the genning of Pokemon versus like making Pokemon, legitimately air quotations. So yeah, let us know what you want to see, and I think there's a lot of room for discussion in the format. And at the end of the day, we're just here to promote the scene and have fun with it. Speak candidly with you all, and hopefully no one really catches feelings about the things we're saying. But you just enjoy the time with us, like we're enjoying the experience with you guys.
I mean, like we hope this this podcast is a place for discourse, and we can encourage positive conversation about the game, surrounding the game, anything of that nature. That's kind of what we're hoping. Anything to grow the scene. Obviously, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, no, definitely, and hopefully we could get some guests on here so they could provide their insight, and you're not just talking to a couple washed up players from Gen 6. We'll get some heads on here.
Hey, we coming back though. We coming
We're
back.
coming back.
We're coming
We
back.
are coming back. And hopefully you'll see us in Top Cut soon. But also, if you have any suggestions for the podcast or to improve your listening or viewing experience, please let us know in the comments on YouTube or DM us on Twitter, or if this ends up on TikTok or anywhere else, just shoot us a DM. Or if you just want to play some best of threes, hit our lines and we'll definitely arrange something, because we're just here to enjoy Pokemon and get better at the game, and have these great discussions with each other and also all of you.
All right, we're out. Peace. LeBron's the GOAT.
Later, guys.
Peace.